Oke, selamat sore Bapak Ibu semuanya. Uh, Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending this uh, event. I was told by Pak Farid that we have a special guest from the International Research Center of Big Data for Sustainable Development Goals, Professor Gretchen Kalonji. Welcome to ITB Bandung, and I hope you enjoy your time in ITB. And thanks for making time for us to have a discussion. And we would like to hear more from you, and of course having a meaningful discussion with all of ITB Academia. And on behalf of the Director of Research and Innovation, Pak El Fahmi, Professor El Fahmi, who is now in, I think he's in Australia right now for extending or expanding ITB collaboration. He sent his regards, and we welcome you. And I think the most appropriate person to introduce Professor Kalonji is Pak Farid. So please, Pak Farid, as the moderator for our discussion, the floor is yours.
Oke, terima kasih Pak GP. Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore Bapak Ibu. Thank you very much for attending this meeting. Actually, Professor Gretchen Kalonji already arrived in Indonesia on Sunday. So basically, she had another meeting. If you saw in Aula Barat, West Hall, 2 days ago, we have Bandung Asia Africa City Network. Collaboration. I think that is a collaboration meeting between ITB, City Government of Bandung, and also Indonesian Water Warriors. And then Professor Gretchen also will stay until Friday, I think, or Saturday. Saturday. Sunday. Until Sunday in Indonesia, but tomorrow she has to leave Bandung to go to Jakarta to meet with other person. And then she has time for us today to explain about I think this is the new International Center of Big Data for 5 years. 5 years. Okay, almost 5 years. 5 years for the Sustainable Development Goals. No problem. We actually, Professor Gretchen Kalonji previously already had collaboration research with several colleagues in ITB. One of them is Professor Reni. Professor Reni. They have collaboration research related to disaster management. When Professor Gretchen was still in Sichuan University, and she moved to CBES since last year. Okay, since last year, and from the CV, she has a long experience in sustainable development goals, but I think we don't have to read the complete CV. But in general, she has a long-term history of leadership in international collaboration, in science and engineering, in innovations in science and engineering education, as well as in strategic approach to strengthening our higher education systems. Her position is special advisor and professor in CBES, and also she is the former assistant general for natural science in UNESCO, and then now she is still advisor in high-level panel on water and disaster, UN, I think, United Nations. So she knows very well high-level person in the world, yeah, in the world. So, Gretchen, I think we don't have to read more detail about your CV. So I will let. Yes, yes, yes. So I will. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I will let you to explain more about the CBUS, especially regarding the digital technology to empower SDG implementation. So the time is yours, please.
Well, I'm so happy to have this opportunity to talk to you all, and I want to make sure that it becomes more of a discussion and that we get to really know each other. So I'm going to try and be very brief. And that means that I'm going to be flashing through slides at a very high speed, but the slides will be accessible to you if you want to look at them in any greater detail. I just saw that I did something very silly this morning. Very early this morning when putting together, modifying this presentation, I put in a new title slide, and anybody who reads that would think that my institutional affiliation is ITB. And so I think this might be a psychological mistake on my part. There should be a space, and it should say CBAS, but it says CBAS above. And it should be clear that I'm giving the talk at ITB. I don't work at ITB. At least I don't get paid. So anyway, so basically, I'll give you a preview. And again, I'm told we have maybe an hour, so I don't want to talk for more than maybe 20 minutes. 30 minutes, we can answer questions. I'll give you an overview, and I know that I assume that we're basically all coming from various scientific backgrounds. And if there's social scientists here too, that's also very good, or from whatever field, and I'd love to learn, if possible, what you're actually doing. But going around the room for long introductions might not be appropriate at this time. What do you think? Okay. Oops. Okay, so basically, as many of you know, the progress towards the SDGs and the 2030 agenda is not at all on track, and we only have 5 years left. And so what happened is our institute, CBAS, was created as a contribution from the Chinese government to the UN and its member states and agencies and programs to help us have a more quantitative, rigorous understanding of where we actually stand. And so the SDGs that we're most active in monitoring are mostly the ones that have to do with environment, because our primary but not exclusive tool is remote sensing. We're increasingly working with socioeconomic data, with national statistic community, but it's primarily, and ground-based data for environmental issues, but primarily to date it's been focusing on environmentally related SDGs and using a variety of digital technologies. Maybe I'm pointing in the wrong direction. Oh, there we go. Okay, so anyway, this is the announcement of our institute. The relevance of this is not to say, oh yes, we have big shots behind us, but the fact that this is a national level on the part of China, and it brings together contributions from many Chinese agencies, and we have very, very close connections with the UN system. And so basically, I won't read all of these things. I know you guys can read very rapidly. I'll highlight a couple of them because I'm going to elaborate with them in detail. But the progress is very significant progress in developing the data infrastructure, information, and data products, all of which are openly accessible via the UNESCO Open Science Principles, and then including the business of launching a series of satellites, of which one is open already. But the last part of the capacity development for SDGs is a very, very serious commitment on our part, and I will highlight that as well. So again, whoops. Okay, so this gives some sort of an overview of the particular SDGs that we have the most focus on. And again, I won't read them, but you'll see some examples of the kind of work that we do here. I know that we have one water person here. We might have other water people here. Yes, I see another water person here, other water people. Zero hunger, we do a lot about hunger. And the urban is very strong. Sustainable cities and communities, disaster, climate action, oceans, etc. So anyhow, we have quite significant capacity for data. All these platforms are all openly accessible to the international community, and I would very much welcome more users from Indonesia and from ITB in particular, though there are some right now. So these are numbers for the data people who want to know something about the scale of the data that we work with. So about one of the 5 elements is this these so-called SDG satellites, and the idea is we have a strategic plan for 9 of these satellites, the data of which they're specifically designed for assessing SDG progress, and again, all of the data is open, and the first one has been up for a couple of years now and has been used by people from, I think, 130 countries. This is a modification of a talk given by our DG last November, and so he showed some images of Budapest from the 3 sensors on the satellites, and just as an example, most of the stuff that I'm presenting is available online. For the Open Science Program for the SDG satellites, again, it's been used so far from scientists from 104 countries, and again, we welcome more participation from you guys, and I'd be there as a liaison if you're having any problems with the interface to the data, etc., to make sure that you get. So again, these data products that we generate are focused on particular SDGs, and every year we present to the UN, and these are formal presentations from Chinese Minister of Foreign Affairs to the Associate Director General of the UN, and also to the President of the General Assembly. You see kind of information in these data products. And again, all of this data is openly accessible. I'm going to just skip this because it doesn't like to go backwards. This is a very forward-looking pointer. It makes a noise when it's thinking about something. Okay. So anyway, okay, this is an important slide because in terms of our potential future collaborations, through us, any collaborations you already have within UN agencies and programs can be strengthened, but also we can provide gateways for other collaborations. And I want to highlight a couple of them. The one on the top about World Heritage, that's with the International Hydrological Program, and is a core partner because water and disasters in World Heritage sites. But we actually have a UNESCO research center located at CBAS, which focuses on space technologies for heritage presentation. I won't go through all of these, but what you will see is that we just had this urban-focused 2-day meeting here at ITB, and so that we have a strong collaboration with UN Habitat and a lot of urban issues. The last one is very interesting, SDG 15. I think that land degradation and combating desertification is one of our strong areas, and we collaborate with a project called the African Great Green Wall, which is trying to stop the movement south of the Sahara Desert. And China actually has some very big successes. In terms of agriculture, for my agriculture friend here, we collaborate with AOA on agricultural monitoring. So the whole idea, as you guys know, the process of designing these SDGs was a deeply political one. It was very inclusive. And of course, they're not perfect in their design. I mean, there's overlap, there's contradictions between them. Some of them are very difficult to measure. But it was a process that involved very huge numbers of people, organizations in the international community. And it was largely led by the former president of the UN General Assembly, Csaba Kőrösi, who is actually one of our core allies. And he was just, his first visit to see us, he was, oh my God, finally we have somebody who's actually measuring this stuff. So we have a lot of international collaborations. I won't go through them all here. I think what's most relevant for this is this next slide. We have, it shows 9, but we now have 10 international centers of excellence, and there's one in Indonesia which has just been approved last summer, and that's in Cibunong, and it focuses on coastal issues, coastal monitoring and conservation. And each of them has a particular focus, and sometimes they have multiple foci. Quite a lot of them have water-related issues. Agriculture, again, is also very strong. Every year we have, in September, we have a huge international conference, September 6th to 8th, and I'm hoping to have good Indonesian participation this year. And so we have, huge numbers of countries and organizations and experts convene in Beijing in this event. We have the fellows, we can skip them. And this is just the result of last year's, one of the results of last year's forum on this Beijing Declaration, which has been adopted by a lot of international organizations about working together on open data for the SDGs. Okay, this is probably more relevant for a multidisciplinary scientific community. It gives you a little bit more detail about what we're actually doing. So, as many of you will know, there are 17 SDGs, and I can't remember how many targets right now, but there's about 230. Each target has a number of indicators, something that you actually measure. And there are about 230 indicators. So each country in the world is supposed to report nationally on the progress towards these indicators. And of course, there's variable progress on the reporting. And so what we do is we're down to the indicator level. And you can see for SDG 2, zero hunger, like at 2.4.1, as a very specific thing that's measurable. And so another one, for some of these are kind of dynamic and fun, and you can look at them later. But, zero hunger, for zero hunger, of course, we also want to know about the, crop production. So this is looking at the sometimes conflict between producing rice and producing tea, and how that plays out in various regions. And it plays out differently in different regions. Now back to water. I have 2 slides that are related to lakes. And, we talked about the successful declaration of World Lake Day, which stemmed from a large effort by the government of Indonesia, but also Japan and a few others. This recently happened and will be celebrated on August 26th for the first time this year. And so a lake collaboration is one of the ones that we think is quite promising between us. And this is just a global assessment of the eutrophic situation in the various lakes around the world, which is not good. What I would like to say is that some of the slides that I will show are global in scope, which we do, but some are in China in scope, specifically China related. So again, a lake related, this one about water storage in lakes, again, worldwide. Okay, energy is another important area, and I believe that's an important area also for ITB. Here we see some inkling about some of the activities in China in related to renewable energy. because China has made such a huge investment in renewable energy in recent years, and fully 40% of the global total in offshore wind since 2019 have been related to China. Okay, PV resources mapping. Okay, back to, I don't know, do we have urban people here? Urban people? Okay, okay. But anyway, urban is great, and we had such wonderful discussions yesterday with, and the day before with some of the mayors from around Indonesia, and your new mayor, Farhan, about what we can do together on urban and environmental issues. But as you know, the air quality situation is pretty serious. You may be less familiar with how serious the heat exposure is worldwide. And in fact, more people die from heat exposure than from floods or earthquakes or anything like that. And it's significantly worse. So urban heat islands is another area we discussed, working on together with urban colleagues in Indonesia. Climate action, I don't want to go through these, but I'm just giving you the pick of the kind of things that we do. CO2 and methane emissions, global methane emissions, and this is another sort of dynamic one. Drought. This seemingly such a humid country, but you also have droughts. So drought is a particularly strong research area for us. We work together with the UN Convention to combat climate change, to combat desertification. And in fact, we're hosting together with GEO their international database on droughts and deserts. Algal blooms in oceans, again, I'm going through them quickly. Land vegetation, land use changes over time. This, again, I'm particularly excited about our work with Africa, so looking at deforestation and afforestation, land cover dynamic monitoring. And when you think about the Great Green Wall Project, which is an international initiative of which we are a partner, you can sort of see what's happening if the Sahara Desert continues to go south. We have geographical priorities, which include Africa, small island developing states, but also ASEAN countries are geographic priorities. So I'm going to just close because I want to have time to talk about some other things, but this is looking at China progress, and whenever our DG or even me talks about this, people are so surprised because actually in China we're not doing such a bad job. In fact, about 55 of the targets and indicators have already met the 2030 goals. So the idea is not only should we be working on helping the quantitative assessment, but also sharing some of the success stories. And an example of the success story would be fighting desertification in China. So I have another slide about the interactions between the SDGs later, so I won't go about that. But this is sort of a summary. Heat waves, very dangerous. Forest coverage, not good, etc. So I need to tell you about something which may be a vehicle, a formal vehicle for our collaboration. Last year, we contributed in a competitive process led by UNESCO under the umbrella of the UN Decade on Science for Sustainable Development. That was agreed by the UN, sometime last year. And so basically they called for proposals for big science programs, which each one lasting 10 years, and which really have a focus on science for sustainable development. So we submitted one with a very long title there, which we call for short the DSP, and those are the five main elements of the DST. You'll see that there's a big overlap with the five CBAS things that I already submitted. I think the one that's somewhat different is the SDG AI models. That's a kind of a new element. So basically, we know that we have got huge data deficiencies worldwide, and there's a gap between even what data we do have and the governance and policy. So that's the main aim of this DSP. To make a long story short, we were approved as one of the 5 big science programs. We got the news, I don't know, 6 weeks ago. And there were 200 proposals and only 5 were endorsed. So we're quite proud about that. And in our original proposal, we listed 30 confirmed partners who had given letters of support at that time. And now that we have this DSP confirmed, we are looking to get many, many more partners, and we're hoping that ITB will be one of the partners. In this slide, it's a rather clunky slide, but basically there are a couple of major challenges. We could measure all we want about existing indicators, and we could know everything about existing indicators, but we still might not reach sustainable development. Why? Well, first of all, because of trade-offs among the indicators. If you want to do a good job on water, on energy, for example, you may improve energy and decrease the water, etc. And so that's not taken into account in the existing framework. And on the other hand, some of them, there's a synergy. Do a good job on one, and that improves another one. So that's one of our goals in this next 10 years, is to do a better job understanding the complex dynamics. But if you take all of the indicators and look just at the bilateral interactions between them, you get up to about 33 trillion interactions. So the other thing that's really important to understand, for us as an international community to understand better, is the cross-regional, cross-national interactions among these things, like the water issue in one area, or let's say the consumption behavior in one area may depend on worse consumption behavior in another area. So one country looks better and the other country is actually suffering more. So we need to understand this more quantitatively. So this, again, is a rather complicated slide about what we want to do with the DSP program. But, there's observation networks, there's the satellite networks, there's ground-based networks, and then there's the digital infrastructure, there's a constellation of satellites, the SDG Big Data Platform, which can be distributed, but the part of it that's with us is openly accessible, the AI model. And, the spheres of activity are also listed, but what is not listed as well as it could be on this slide is our goal to have more links to the socioeconomic data. So not just the environmental data. And then again, to look at the regional and national SDG and international SDG governance. So that's about it for now. We have a QR code there where people can scan if they're interested. What I hope will happen with ITB is that we'll have an overall partnership with the Institute as a whole, and therefore your individual centers can fall underneath that instead of having separate institutes. But anyway, the purpose of this meeting, from my point of view, is for me to learn from you about what your priorities are and what your interests are, that I've given you a broad overview. And again, you're more than welcome to take a look in greater detail about these slides. I will correct my affiliation.
Okay, thank you, Professor Gretchen, for your presentation. I think, all of us can have broad description or broad image of the CBES. Yeah? So here in this meeting room, we have researchers and also the head of centers. I think I can see from the list we have people from Center for Water Resource. Okay, good. Ya, mungkin kita perkenalan singkat aja nama, kemudian interest research-nya di mana ya, yang mahasiswa juga nggak apa-apa. Oke, mungkin dimulai dari Kepala Pusat Penelitian Mitigasi Bencana itu yang ya, baik.
Okay, sorry, my name is Andri Danugraha. Actually, I'm a seismologist. I'm from Faculty of Mining and Petroleum Engineering. So I think we met for the third time today. Yeah, welcome to ITB. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zulfak Riza. I'm from Faculty of Mining and Petroleum Engineering, the same faculty with Professor Andri, and we are the same center. We are from Center for Disaster Mitigation. Yeah, Center Research for Disaster Mitigation. My background is seismology and focus on the earthquake and volcanoseismology. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tara. I'm actually a fresh graduate from Civil Engineering, Faculty of Civil and Environmental Engineering, and I'm currently reside in the Water Resources Research Group. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Zahra and I'm undergraduate student of the same faculty as Kasara. Hi, my name is Davina and I'm maybe interested to climate change thing. Thank you. Hello, my name is Alika and my interest research is hydropower. Hydropower. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Daki and my interest for the nowadays research is in flood modeling. Flood.
Hello, my name is Ahmad. So I'm coming from Water Resource and Development Group. And actually I have the same research with Professor Raini and Sulila, do you know? I'm coming from the same group. Yeah, I'm the part of the research. And yeah, nice to meet you. It's a long time to meet you.
Okay. Hello, my name Muhammad Koyemato. I'm from School of Electric Engineering and Informatics. So I'm is from computer science. So I'm interested about data. Yeah, data. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Agus Subocho, researcher of Center for Defense and Security Technology. Our focus is a smart system of architecture, and one of is big data.
Hi, my name is Aceh Purkon. I'm from Physics Department and also Computational Science and Agricultural Engineering, and also SDGs Center member. So I think it's very relevant for today's discussion. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kurnia. I am from Faculty of Natural Science and Mathematics. My interest research is in geostatistics.
Good afternoon. My name is Utri Weni. You can call me Utri. I'm from Statistics Research Division. Similar with Bu Kurnia from Mathematics Department, and my interest in space-time analysis, and we also has a research in environmental environmental statistics. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Freddie. I'm actually from Germany. Just doing a research theory at ITB, and I'm mainly into flood modeling and sediment transport.
Hi, my name is Abdul. I think we met before. I am an assistant professor and also a lecturer in the Water Resource Department Engineering Group from Environmental Engineering, and my main research interest in the disaster risk management, particularly for climate change adaptation on coastal infrastructures. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. So, as Gretchen told us before, yeah, for our framework of ITB and CBAS cooperation, actually we are now developing MOU, yeah, Memorandum on Agreement with CBAS and ITB. Tomorrow we will also meet with Pak Endra, yeah, to follow up our MOU draft. And hopefully it can be signed as soon as possible, so that we can, we can step forward for our collaboration as soon as possible. Yeah, and also after we sign the MOU, I think it can be used by all researchers and all professors in ITB to develop collaboration with CBAS. Yeah, I think. What already explained by Gretchen is very related for each group in our research and research center in ITB. So I think I hope we can collaborate as soon as possible with CBAS, and from this meeting, hopefully we can discuss about what kind of topic or what kind of collaboration that we can develop with CBAS. So if there is a question or there is a comment from you in this meeting room, so please don't hesitate to ask Gretchen. Yeah, please.
No, I'm just waiting for questions. Having been a professor for all of my professional life, if there's no questions, I feel I'm a failure. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So this is my question. Since you also actively work in UN, I think this year also there are a meeting for updating some data or progress in SDGs. Is that correct? Yeah. In Indonesia also we have some meeting to for the preparation, and some university also in this network try to update the progress.
Right.
But interestingly, I don't know in your situation, in our case, some part of data is still collect manually, and I don't know they also already collaborate with you or not from the Bapenas. I don't know. This is.
As far as I know, there aren't direct collaborations. Mm-hmm. Right. What I assume happens, and I hope I'm not making any mistakes, is that their data is going to the UN.
Okay.
Because they have the national reporting requirements.
Yeah.
And so they're responsible for that. They're reporting to the UN. Mm-hmm. What we do is summarize what's happening. We do get the summary of what's happening, but that's not our main job. Our main job is to help the member states tackle the challenges of getting the data.
But I mean, it's interesting with the concept for framework or open science for this one initiative. It's also we can use the data as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it is very useful for us because to find some target especially to speed up the target or to the 2030, it can be more controllable, something like that.
That's absolutely correct. So what you should be able to do, you should be able, in principle, to access the time development of a particular indicator through our platform. And then that should help you. You should be able to look geographically in a particular part of Indonesia and see what's happening in real time and see what's happened over time. You should be able to do that. It should help a lot.
Yeah.
It should help a lot. You know I've only been working for them, officially, for about just under a year now, though I've had interactions with them in a variety of capacities for a long time when I was at UNESCO. So basically, the data is there, the platform is there, the tools are there, but we have not done a very, very good job in letting everybody know. So some countries have used it much more in their national reporting requirements than others. And not coincidentally, countries that have one of our centers of excellence tend to be more, to use it more, like one of our very active centers is in Thailand. So I'm very, very much interested in working with you and glad to have somebody from the SDG Center here in making this process smoother. Because what I've heard is that it's a little bit clunky, the interface is a little bit difficult to use, and so you might need, we do training programs, and in fact we were supposed to have an Indonesian training program for 15 Indonesian senior scientists at the end of last year, but because of the budget cuts in the national science and technology budget, it didn't happen. I hope it happens soon. Those kind of training programs are very good because you come to CBAS, you get your hands on the experience. You can have a variety of lectures, so you get to use it. But even from a distance, you can do it. You can certainly do it, and people do manage it. But I want to help you guys make it a little bit easier process from what I've heard from other colleagues.
Also, because you work also in China, right, for this, and I'm wondering how to know about the progress in China for the SDGs, because in the slide there are no information, the progress, for example, during 10 years, how the target for the 17 SDGs there, any progress, and how to manage or to handle, and the policy to speed up this.
Well, there's data available on the website, and there are reports which are downloadable. There's reports in Chinese and reports in English. Now, what I have been told, this was only in a recent tour we had for some visitors in April, is that the English, there's more information available on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, more of these reports and more of the data in English. The reports in English. But I will look into this, and you have my contact info now, and I can follow up with you directly about this. But the data is all accessible. Of course, there's huge amounts of data that are not accessible, but the data that's produced, compiled, summarized by our institute is all, there's a commitment to openly available data using the FAIR principles, the so-called FAIR principles.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Now I'm not a total failure.
First of all, thank you so much for your fantastic presentation. I do enjoy your presentation so much, especially in the very beautiful figures that I see. I hope you don't mind if I'm asking perhaps 3 questions or 4 questions. I hope it's not too much, yeah. First of all, I really curious and wanted to know about how does this CBAS, yeah, maybe you call it CBAS, yeah, CBAS, integrate the satellite data. So you mentioned earlier that you have a satellite data such as from SDG Sat1 with the, for example, ground-based observation, because I thought it's really interesting to know that this data perhaps needs to be calibrated or maybe needs to be integrated with the ground-based observation, right? For let's say water resource monitoring or so on. And should I ask more, or perhaps you want? Okay, okay, okay. And the second questions would be: is it possible, for example, are there opportunities perhaps for a student or maybe a researcher exchange, for example, between CBAS and like ITB focusing on water resource? So, for example, you can provide some workshop or maybe you can offer some training programs and so on. Is there any kind of opportunities for that one? And the third questions is that, are there any case studies where CBAS big data approach have been successfully applied or maybe try to tackle the challenge in the water resource engineering, particularly for climate change impact assessment? Is there any particular case study of the utilization of CBAS big data to tackle that issue? So I hope this is not too much. Yeah, that's all. Thank you. Thank you so much. I already include the fourth question in the third question. I'm so sorry.
In terms of integrating the satellite data with ground-based data, of course, it really depends on the topic and depends on the region. Because some of the regions where we have, I mean, for example, we have a lot of work on the interaction between the agriculture productivity and water resources. But with combinations of ground-based and satellite. And if we had time, I can show you, some examples. North Africa is a particularly strong region there. But again, it depends on the specific partners on the ground and where we have international centers of excellence. Of course, that helps a lot. And, my understanding is that goes back to case studies because, with the more reliable, comprehensive, if you have the ground-based data, it means that you also have the people on the ground who can be involved in implementing the solutions, right? And so those probably, there are case studies in some of our reports. And again, I can share with Fareed links to the best, easiest ways to download the reports. Now, student researcher exchange. Well, I would like to talk about this in the context of all of the potential areas, not just the water resources. But yes, there are a variety of mechanisms. It depends on, for students, there's possibilities with Chinese governmental support to pursue actual degree programs. It's kind of complicated because we don't offer the degrees. The degrees are offered through the Chinese Academy of Sciences. But there are possibilities for students coming for more extended durations. For visitors, basically we have something called PIFI under the Chinese Academy of Sciences. It stands for Presidential International Fellowship Initiative. That means the president of the Chinese Academy of Science, not of China, by the way. But anyway, those promote short-term visits, and they come in a variety of flavors. They could be for people at the postdoc level. They could be Nobel Prize, and they could be a variety of durations. And to get a PIFI fellowship, you identify which Chinese Academy of Science that you want to work with, and there's paperwork and processes. In terms of workshops and trainings, yes, I want us to do even more of that, and we have done it since I've joined. We've done it in a variety of mechanisms. One is to have people come to CBAS, and I heard. So last September, we had a week-long program for people from small island developing states, both from Asia and Africa and Caribbean, spending a week in a intensive program at CBAS, which I can share the curriculum with you guys, and you get a better idea of what it's like. And then before that, we did one in last year, March. We did one in Kenya, which was in Kenya, and so the CBAS people went to Kenya, and that was an interesting one because they brought together the Meteorological Society of Kenya, and basically the remote sensing people at the national level from Kenya, and also the National Statistics Bureau. Hi, Krishna. So the statistics. So we had the statistics people, which had all the socioeconomic data, and the other people with all of the remote sensing big Earth data together in the workshop. And so I think that's a promising way to go. The program that we had planned for with BMKG taking the lead for about 15 Indonesian people, which I hope will be resurrected after the financial problems are over, that curriculum was going to be held at CBAS because there was funding coming from Indonesia. Now, I just heard in a Zoom call today that there's going to be another training program in the first week of September focusing on scholars from Africa. So there's a variety of mechanisms that we have. What we need to do is we need to standardize and modularize these training programs so that they're easily accessible. Something like MOOC-like things. And you can imagine being young researchers, what it's like for our young researchers in something like CBAS, because they're trying to do their own intensive research on, polar ice cap melting or biodiversity and climate change, and get their high-level publications and advance their careers. At the same time, they're asked to do all this other international stuff and all this other, capacity building stuff. So what we need to do is, again, we could, use you as pilots for some modules of it to try and get things in a version, an electronic version that's actually useful and that works and that helps the broader international community learn how to interact with CBAS, interact with the data, and in the process interact more with each other. So I hope that was at least a partial answer to your questions.
Thank you so much.
Please, Pak GP.
Thank you, Gretchen. I'm very interested with the SDGs that you've mentioned before, and I think it is a part of open science. It is a part of open science. This the SDG set, in which we can access the data and utilize into research works, into publication, and so on and so forth. And in particular, for ITB researchers, can we, directly access the data? I've checked the website, and can we access and utilize them right now, as of right now, or should we wait for the MOU? Okay. Okay, it's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay.
So basically, here's my understanding. You need to sort of make an application, but it can be from an individual. It doesn't even need to be from an institution. To make an application, and I don't know exactly how cumbersome that application process is. You need to say what kind of data you need and what kind of purpose it's being used for. So it should not be a filter. But what I learned from, again, I've just joined quite recently from one of the distinguished Pakistani scientists, is that she found it kind of difficult. And so even though she's very experienced, she works on, by the way, on droughts. And she had to go back and forth with, the guy in our satellite department and get help on figuring out how to fill out these forms and this and that. So I hope that we can make it easier, but we do not need the MOU.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but still we need to, submit an application before accessing the data. Or the data is there and we can just...
There is some application. I personally haven't gone through it.
Okay.
So we can, together, find out more details about the process. Yeah. What I know is when I was in Hungary recently, meeting with sort of high-level Hungarian people, they said, oh, they see the piece of the pie that says Hungary and ask, who's using this in Hungary? And so we got back in touch with, the headquarters and found out that it was a combination of institutions and individual researchers. So individual researchers were somehow able to get over these difficulties and get access to the data.
And my follow-up question is that I'm a chemist and working especially in renewable energies, and I believe it's also part of the SDGs.
On what?
Renewable energies.
Oh, renewable energy.
Yeah, but I haven't heard. The renewable energy in the CBAS. Maybe you can elaborate more on the works of renewable energy at CBAS.
Yeah. Well, I think there were a couple of slides there, but photovoltaic potential globally is one of the related areas. Assessing photovoltaic potential, but also looking at wind farm energy. And in terms of hydroelectric power, I'm going to have to get back to you on this a little bit, because I would be very, very surprised if we don't have a lot of activities in that area, because as I mentioned, the water in general is one of our stronger areas. So again, I'll have to find out more information about it.
But surely you have like a researcher or research fellow or a professor working on this
Multiple.
area in
Yes.
CBAS.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, multiple.
And those names are listed in the website that,
Well, that's a good question. I'm not terribly happy with the status of our website. See, what our CBAS website does is it shows, when you go to the typical who we are thing, it shows the people whose full-time appointments is with CBAS. But as I mentioned, the mechanism is that a lot of people from other institutes of the Chinese Academy of Sciences work with CBAS, but they won't necessarily show up on our website. So I'll have to get back again, get back to you on this. But I could probably provide you links in terms of the annual report, which will have, because energy is one of our priority SDGs. So there has to be a lot of activity.
Because in general, when we want to, initiate a new collaboration, it's a person-to-person first. So, if we can have the names of your experts, and then
absolutely,
we can make matching with our experts.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Gretchen. It's very interesting presentation, and really, I think me and my friend, my college, is very interested with this kind of collaboration, because when you see that you have so many data, and we are statisticians, so it's really like we have. Absolutely right. So actually, our research is already involved regarding environmental statistics that I said before. Like we modeling peatland that can use for the carbon emission, that we can detect how many the potential of the disaster from fire of the peatland and so on. And also we have the modeling about the air pollution using our models, but we randomly obtain the data. So it's in my thinking, it will be more that you said that we can help with how to predict our SDGs in the future by using the same data, and then we make the what do you call it, research about this, and then how collaboration among researchers, like Pak GP said that if we have the same data and we have who working on that research, and then we maybe in the different point of views, and then it will be reach to obtain the better approach of modeling or something like that. So if we have the easy access of the data, and we can use that, and we also have the place to report, or to not report, maybe to what we call that, to socialize what our finding about the data, it will be great. So if maybe the collaboration can be used for that purpose, I think, because we can also compare what the people has done, and then we also improve what should be do next to make the better. Maybe in our one of our job is to predict what happen in the future, something like that. So it will be, I think it will be great and good opportunity. I don't know if this is a question or not, but that's my opinion.
Okay.
It will be great.
I think it's very thoughtful, and let me respond to the best of my ability. Well, first of all, I think it's really great to have people who are focusing on the data and on the statistics of the environmental data. My understanding is that there's two problems with the data. Well, there's at least three problems with the environmental related data. Either it doesn't exist, or if it exists in multiple countries, it's in different kinds of formats which are not comparable, which makes it hard to have a global assessment about the progress towards a particular target or indicator. So in other words, what it means is that the situation may even be worse than the rather gloomy situation in my first few slides. Comparable data, reliable data is another issue, and working together would be, I think, a wonderful idea to build stronger collaborations. In terms of predictive capacity, I think you're totally right. We should be able to understand, within a range of probability, that this is the trajectory we're going on, and then also, equally importantly, then guide national, regional policy about what steps need to be taken. So, for example, you mentioned peatlands, and we had a very good presentation day before yesterday about the situation with peatlands. Yeah, Professor Indratmo, and I was fascinated because I didn't know very much about the situation with peatlands, and so I would be very, very curious to understand more about, how remote sensing combined with the ground-based data addresses peatland degradation issues and remediation strategies, etc. So thank you for your question/comments. Very useful.
So it was a very interesting talk. I thought the whole time I heard of CBES before, and I checked different resources I had used in Germany before, but didn't cross my mind. I work with quite some Chinese people also in Munich, but I cannot grasp on it. Maybe I've worked with it in some way. I was wondering about very German thinking, because you mentioned a lot about the satellite data. So if I understood it correctly, every country is providing data to CBES, and then, no, this was very, very wrong. Because, my question was from which satellites provide the data? Because this is usually very sensitive data, and who provides it? So
First of all, people do not report to CBAS. They're supposed to do their national reporting requirements to the UN. Okay? Right. And the data situation is very complicated. For example, I work very closely with Japanese colleagues who also have huge amounts of data and also work in many of the similar areas. And often the sharing is quite difficult. Some of their data is open, some of it's not. In the case of the Chinese data, our data is open, but there's a huge amount of the water-related data in China that's not. Because water is often regarded as some sort of a state secret. Right? So at the same time that even the people, our own people, and people who use the CBAS data, they're using data from a huge number of other sources that are openly accessible sources, or sources that they can get access to because they have the national requirements. Like the Chinese researchers, they're not going to only use CBAS data. They're going to use data from NASA, and they're going to use data from Chinese sources that is openly accessible that's accessible to them, but might not be accessible to you. So it's a complex mix. But I'm very happy about the fact that we at least have made this commitment to the UNESCO Open Science Principles, which were it was not last November, but the November before, were unanimously agreed by all of the 194 UNESCO member states. And that means that, it's an open data, open science infrastructure, et cetera, and working with co-data on that. So it's complicated.
Yes, so maybe if I can elaborate on this, I 100% agree with this. It's very important to promote this open access data and open access science. So if I understood it correctly, basically every country can choose on its own which data it wants to provide, then provides this to the UN, UNESCO,
right.
And then CBAS can make it available to in an easier frame.
Yeah, I don't think UNESCO collects the data. I think it goes to some other statistical department of the UN. But anyway, yes, most of the data that we have, well, the data comes from our own researchers and also from researchers around the world who contribute their data. I don't know what the ratio is, to tell you the truth.
Any other question? Udah, cukup ya? Cukup ya PGP? Okay, please.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Actually, I'm just curious about the CBAS itself. The CBAS solely focus on assessing the SDG progress, or does it focus on other researchers other than this? That's all. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's a very stimulating question. Thank you. So we were created and we are funded by the Chinese government to work on the SDGs. And of course, you may know that there's a big looming international debate about the future of sustainable development monitoring, because the SDGs are only one window. So what we do is we are doing two things in parallel. Right now, the majority of our energy is to work on assessing the progress towards the existing approximately 230 indicators, like SDG 3 point blah blah, 3.4.5 or whatever, right? So it's something very, very specific. But at the same time, what we're embracing in our already currently, but in our future 10-year plan, is to understand more quantitatively the interactions between these various SDGs, like how one affects the other, right? So also, we need to play an intellectual role in the design of what is called the post-2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. Because the SDGs are finished. The deadline is 2030. That's only 5 years from now. And there's no way in hell we're going to meet these things, right? And so some people say, well, let's just continue the time period with the existing framework. Others say, no, we need a new framework, which is, actually, I'm of the opinion that we need to rethink what we need to be measuring, how we need to be measuring, building on what we've learned from the SDGs. So I don't know if that answers your question, but basically, almost everybody who works at CBAS has a foot in another research lab in which they're working on a variety of different things, right? Because, you know, I mean, I'm sure you all recognize, whether you're at the student level or at the faculty level, that you will be judged, your performance, your promotions, etc., will be judged on what you produce in your own field, right? And there's not a department, well, you have an institute, you have a center for SDGs, but almost no universities would have that. The electrical engineering department would want to know, okay, what are you doing about renewable energy, or et cetera. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's actually a very interesting topic, and there's groups around the world who are now working together, thinking together, debating what kind of need to do to find a framework that makes sense. We're not throwing away the current framework, perhaps building a new framework. Actually, it's one of our very close colleagues, who's also a German hydrologist. His name is Johannes Kuhlmann, who used to be the head of water and climate change for WMO, and then he went to become chief scientist to the UN, to the president of the UN General Assembly. He's been promoting something which he calls descriptors sustainability, which more creatively links the things we need to be doing. We need to be measuring in new ways rather than just following on the existing pathway. Yeah, you'll find Johannes online, Freddie. He's very bad at answering emails, but he's a good guy.
Okay, I think now already 5:25, so we are approaching the end of our meeting today. So once again, thank you very much for all participants, and also especially Gretchen for sharing your CBAS, what you are working, what we are working there with your colleagues, and yeah, I think this is just a small step for us to move forward in more detail to develop our collaboration between ITB and CBAS. Yeah, hopefully, we can develop activities as soon as possible with CBAS, because I think we are now approaching our target in SDGs, 2030. So yeah, like you said, it is only 5 years from now. So that is why this is very important. So I think that's all, everyone. So I will give to Pak GP for the closing. Thank you.
So thank you again, Gretchen, for the exciting presentation and also discussion. And we hope that our memorandum of agreement will be completed soon, and then we can move on with the actual collaboration between CBAS and ITB. And once again, thank you very much for attending this discussion, and we look forward to the collaboration between ITB and CBAS. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm the one who should be thanking, because I'm very happy to get a chance to meet you all. And, it's just fun to, learn about what people are doing. And especially I enjoy getting the questions. And I hope that we'll develop some really strong, very interesting, powerful partnerships. I'm very optimistic about it. Let's do it.